Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another product review and unboxing. And today we're going to be looking at another scope from SVBony. Now this is a company that I have had a hit or miss relationship with because the first scope they sent me was really good. I used it on this rifle right here and I felt like it compared pretty well against the entry-level Nikon and loophole scopes that you can get for about $125, and that scope was about $30 cheaper. Had great options, clear glass, it was great. Then they sent me another scope that I think was more for tactical applications. It's a very cheap scope and honestly, it was a piece of junk. And I released the video and they were not very happy with me. They wrote me a nice email saying, we wish you would have talked to us before releasing that or not released the video at all. But I said, don't send me a product you're not willing to have me do an honest review on. And they understood, but I have one more scope from them to take a look at. And this is gonna be the model SV176. It looks like that. This one is not electric in any way, so we have no electronics inside, no batteries. It is just a traditional scope, and I think it's more like the first scope that I reviewed. So I am going to put it once again on my custom Ruger 1022 here. I will unbox this, we'll check out what the features are, what the build quality is, how it mounts, then we're going to take it to the range, see if it holds zero. If the glass is clear, then we'll come back here and I'll give you guys my final thoughts. So here's the box that the SVBony scope comes in. It's a pretty nice box. I never have a problem with the way that they package these. Let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what we get. Set that aside there. Here's the scope. We probably get some rings. And of course we get the owner's manual. So let's set that aside. We'll open the mount in just a second. But let's get this scope out of here. All right, and it's a scope. All right, so the tube looks pretty good. Let me get all that trash out of the way. All right, so we get these cheap lens covers. Never been a big fan of these. I really feel like those could be a little bit nicer, but I don't think that will affect the scope at all. All right, so my problems with the scopes in the past that I had issues with was the adjustments felt really loose. Now these feel tight. That actually feels really good. The eyepiece, I'm assuming, has an adjustment on. I don't have to check that. Let's check out these turrets here and see what they look like. All right, so that looks like the other turrets and the adjustments that we had on the other scope. Let's see if these move pretty easy with good clicks. Oh yeah, those are very tactile and audible. And the whole mechanism is not moving very much. So I do like that. That is definitely better than the last scope that I reviewed. Let's check the other side as well. And looks like we are good. Okay, so I like this one so far. Seems to be of a lot better build quality. There's no machine marks on the tube itself. Let's take a look here at the objective lens. It looks pretty clear, don't see any scratches or issues with it. All right, let's go to the eyepiece. Let's look through it here, and I know this will not show up on camera, but let's take a look at that reticle. It's a standard cross. It seems to be etched in there pretty well. It's very clear, no issues with it. I like how thin it is. As I said, that's something I'm just not going to be able to show you on camera. So right now I have to say that the quality of this is pretty darn good. I'm happy with it. The specs of it say it is a 3:9 with a 32mm objective lens. So I like it so far. Let's set this thing aside and let's take a look here at this mount. So if we open this box, we should probably have a couple of rings. Okay, we do. We got some rings, and it looks like we have an Allen wrench. All right, so those are just pretty basic rings, but they're the ones that come with the scope. So let me go ahead and assemble all this because YouTube doesn't want me to do it on camera. I'll put it on my Ruger 1022, see what it looks like. Then we're gonna get it to the range, come back here to the garage, and see how this thing fared. All right, so here is the scope mounted to the rifle. I have to say, for just using the basic rings that come with it, they work just fine, holds the scope in place tight. Everything is on there secure. The scope looks good. I've looked through it. The glass is clear. It has very forgiving eye relief. The reticle is pretty basic. You don't have any clicks for bullet drop, but for a rifle scope of this price, you don't really expect that. All these turrets seem to work fine. All of the adjustments are tight. I have no problems with it as it sits here on the table. All right, so let's go to the range. Let's see how hard this thing is to zero. Will it hold zero? How's it going to perform? Let's shoot it a little bit, then let's come back to the garage and I'll tell you guys what I discovered. All right, so we're back from the range with this scope from SVBony, the SV176. So you're wondering, how did it perform? Well, I have to say, it performed pretty good. I'm very happy with it. It was easy to zero, it stayed zero, and for being a very basic scope, it works. There's a few things about this that I really like. Number one, it's a decent basic scope for the money. I feel, as compared to the other scopes from this company that I have reviewed, the glass is pretty clear. I really like the reticle in this one, and something I like about this is that it has nothing electric in it. I don't think you really need, on a basic rifle scope, some type of illumination on the reticle. So I really like how it is set up and what it's designed to do. But because it is so basic, it does lack a couple of things that I would like to see addressed. The first thing I notice is that with high magnification, once you get to about 7, 8, or 9 power, the center of the reticle, or what you're putting those crosshairs over, is a little bit blurry, where on the exterior of the field of view, it is very clear. So what this thing actually needs, besides having those lenses adjusted a little bit more, is to have a fine-tuning knob for the focus. This does not have it. The only adjustment you have is for the power. Now, I have really good eyesight, 20/20, and so I was really struggling with this on the higher powers. Not that I couldn't see the target, but my eye was trying to focus, and I couldn't make that happen because it doesn't have that fine focus knob. So it kind of made my eyes hurt after prolonged use. But that's really the major issue. The eye relief on this is actually really forgiving, and for the size of the objective lens, I feel like your field of view is pretty good. So I am happy with how it performed. Obviously, you saw I could shoot pretty darn tight groups with this. Now, something I do want to address that some people are probably going to mention in the comments is that I only tried this out on a 22. And the reason I did that is every time I review one of these more affordable scopes or optics, I try to think about who's going to buy this. After all, if you can afford a $3,000 LMT rifle, the odds are you're not going to buy this. You're going to buy some other high-end Night Force scope, for example. But the person that might buy this might have just bought their son their first Ruger 1022 and is just looking for an affordable, basic optic that they can take to the range or take out in the field and shoot some cans with. And based off of that, and that's how I try to review it, the scope works absolutely fine. Now, if you're looking for something with a little bit more options, you might want to go in a different direction. I think though, if this had a fine focus adjustment, or you could adjust the eyepiece a little bit to get that focus, it would do really, really well, especially in this price point and with its build quality. Even the scope rings that they provide stayed on tight, and I had no issues. Now, all of the range footage that you saw was really compressed. That was only about a third or maybe a quarter of what I did with this rifle. And by the way, you didn't see all the fine adjustments I was doing with these turrets. I do have to say that they feel a little bit on the cheap side, but they definitely function, and they held zero. The detents for those adjustments are very tactile and audible, just as I would like. So I really don't have a problem with it. Besides, it just doesn't have that fine focus adjustment, but it seems to be well built. The glass is pretty darn clear, and the only issue that I had with the magnification, of course, I already mentioned, is that the higher magnifications, it's just not focused, but in the outside of the field of view, it is focused. So in my opinion, that just has to be addressed. But for a budget basic optic, it's pretty good. And the power from 3 to 9 works just fine. So, on my star system, how would I rate the SV176 from SVBony? Well, as I mentioned, compared to the other scopes that I have reviewed from them, this one might be my favorite, and I'm pretty happy with it. However, my eyes were hurting after about an hour at the range because of that focus issue. So I have to deduct a few points for that. But the functionality and build is great. So on my star system, I would give this 3.5 stars out of 5. A pretty darn good rating. It probably would be 4.5 if it just had that fine focus. And I know I keep harping on that, but that was the main issue I had with it. And in this price point, this would be a great optic for someone just getting into firearms, maybe a kid that just got their first Ruger 1022 or something like that. It's fine for that application, and I really think that it being so basic, it's a great starter scope for someone just like that. So, what do you guys think? Do you have any basic low-end scopes like this that work pretty well and do their job just fine? I have to say, I'm pretty happy with this, and I would recommend it to somebody that might be looking for a very affordable, super basic optic for a beginner. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and does this scope interest you at all, or do you know somebody that could possibly use it? So, as always, thanks for watching.